G'day. Unfortunately, we begin this episode with a repair. Oh, it looks like we got a delivery. So there's the damage, that top leaf, which is a custom top leaf, but there's clearly been a lot of axle wrap on that last run. I don't have a wrap bar here. The bolts have been taken out of that pack, so it has tried to overflex and unlocked at the front. We were bouncing a bit, so we'll get that repaired. So we fished out another suitable top leaf. Now the other thing I've seen under here which tells me we had some other issues is I've got marks on the tail shaft. So it can be from rocks sometimes, but I've also got marks on that bash plate that we made up off a different model. So it's clearly too close. And on that side, there's a sharp edge. What we'll do to fix that is we'll just give the bash plate a bit of a hit back, and also we'll reverse the tail shaft so the slip joins down this diff end. It's much narrower there. So we've turned that tail shaft round. A little bit of subtle paddle beating should give us a bit more clearance. I mean, we are hitting stuff with it, but that's its job. Yeah, it's bent good. But if we had that bolt in there, that wouldn't have separated as much. It would have stayed with the pack. Wouldn't have flexed as much. So it's another safety precaution we've got to look at. Let's get to some mods. That's why we're under here. We've got a big box from up north. We've got a cross member, a steering damper, a pin to pin. Just getting a bit of a wobble here and there. It's intermittent. It's not any particular speed or bump. And since we've gotten rid of that factory steering damper that was on the factory tie rod. Now that's the Snake Racing chromoly rock rod. And that's the bracket that Ryan gave me. So we'll try and get this pin to pin one on there. So that bracket worked nicely. It's up nice and high. And then the other end is the factory mount. So it's all good. All right, that mod's out of the way. Cross members in. Let's move on to something else.
So Teddy, what's the problem?
Sometimes things just don't go to plan. So I reversed that tail shaft. Packed all the gear away and went to back it out of the drive and up the street, and fair dinkum sounded like I'd done a tooth on a crown wheel. Now I don't know why, but if this makes it go away, then this tail shaft doesn't like going backwards. The reason we rotate them is so that this narrower section is closer to the rocks, rather than, see, I've hit all this. But on Bullet Truck, it's run this way. But it was run this way from day one. But I drove it all the way back from where we did that last run, so this is the only thing different that I've done. Okay, so in behind Bullet Truck, we got some more goodies for the 4Runner. But because Bullet Truck's not running at the moment, this is how we move him. Okay, that should be enough room for me to get in behind it. Now what we were looking for back there, we found. Got a brand new pair of long-filled CVs, unused. Spare center with the ARB air locker in it, brand new. I knew I had this somewhere, though a custom shaft it will be. And I promise that's the last stuff that I'll take from it to put in the 4Runner. That's it, this build is now done. Here's the new shaft we made up. With a much longer slip joint. I've gone about 15 mil shorter in length. I just feel that the other one was bottoming out. We had some heavy duty wall left over from when we built the one for Bullet Truck. So we'll get this on and take it for a spin. It's a lot thicker wall than the factory one, and it's the outside diameter is a little bit less too, so we clear that tank by quite a bit more. So I was happy to run it the right way around. Having that slip already, with that uni already in it, you can imagine what that would look like rolling around on rocks after a couple of seconds. We've lost the colour theme we were going for, but I might actually put a clear lacquer on this one. Now I changed the length of this shaft a little bit to suit, you know, the lift and the extra travel that I'm getting in the rear. I tacked it all together and sent it off to a guy I know who finished it off and balanced it for me. They painted it in black. It wasn't the look I was chasing this time, so I got the black paint off and we're using a clear coat. So the other thing I said I'd show you is how to change the wiring so that you can use the front locker without having the rear engaged. So here's a spare harness setup that I've got, and what it is, so the rear locker is switch 1. There's a red power wire that goes to that switch, what you do is you scotch lock another piece of wire and run it to the switch 2 in place of the yellow wire. So you'll find most of the comp cars will have this setup, and most of the hardcore wheelers. And what it enables you to do, it enables you to use the front locker without having the rear engaged. So normally you would have to have the rear in before you can use the front. So in a situation in a competition, or even socially, where you get caught up and you just want your front to pull rather than being pushed by the rear, that's the perfect scenario. In competitions, you use it to come around corners sometimes, pull yourself around, whereas the rear would actually be pushing you into some bunting or into an obstacle you don't want to be in. So it's a very good tip, and you know, you don't have to use it as long as it's set up, but you can still use your rear first and then your front. We use it quite often, and it would have come handy the other day in the 4Runner if I had the front locker in and I could have disengaged the rear. Because with the rear locker in, it was pushing me sideways up that rock. So it's another handy hint, and one that I highly recommend. It's a 1-wire change while you're fitting it all up, and well worth it in my opinion. Okay, so this concludes this episode, and in fact the entire build. And like Mum always says, you got to put one toy away before you can get another one out. So the bullet's out because we've got a pretty hard social coming up next weekend. It's been so much fun building the 4Runner again after 20 years of not having one. I'm grateful that I got to share it with people. Everybody that's seen the build and all the episodes, all the forums that I'm on that have all had a bit of feedback for me. We'll put it aside for a little while, get Team Bullet back out and running, and then I've got some mods to do on the 79 as well. So it's not the end of the videos, it's just going to be some different kind of videos coming up from us. It ended up a really capable little truck, fun to drive. We're going to concentrate now on the Hilux. It seems like all the restrictions are being lifted, so we'll have some competitions to get some seat time for. And that's our love, the big girl. And so I'd like to just thank everybody again, and thanks for watching.